Have you joining me this morning. My computer's a little bit better centered there. Great to great to be able to join you for a little conversation. Today's an important one. We're doing a little detour, and it's a detour off of a conversation I had last night. And it deals with this question: how does love and truth connect? How do those two things connect? And the thought comes out of a conversation I had last night with Scarlett Lewis. So Scarlett, as some of you know, and some of you don't, very sadly and tragically lost her son Jesse in the Newtown shootings all those years ago up in Connecticut. And Scarlett has spoken at New Church Live a number of times. She is an amazing person with incredible insights, that have come out of a very hard journey. And she just is an amazing person. I don't know what more I can say about that. And last night, just texting a little bit for those of you who read, she had made the news last night because she was able to confront Alex Jones. Now, Alex Jones is a man who was holding forth that the Newtown shootings never happened. They never occurred. And so the families got together, did a lawsuit, accusing him of libel and all this, that, and the other thing. And yesterday was part of that trial, and Scarlett got to confront him and tell him about the damage that was done when we don't speak the truth, when we lie. And it was poignant. I highly recommend you take a look at the New York Times article that with her quotes in it. It's very, very powerful. So the conversation, it was a short little text conversation we had last night, was just how does this idea of truth and love connect? And I want to share a concept with you. I think that's very important, and it's central to Christian New Church theology. I think it's central to all of Christian theology, or at least should be. And that's the idea of this. What is truth? Well, truth is the form of love. So here we have love, and love moves out to its ultimates. And one of its ultimates is truth, is honesty. And if you think about it, folks, like that's completely logical, right? It makes a lot of sense. And it also makes sense within the context where Jesus says, know the truth and the truth shall make you free. When we really understand the truth, we really understand love. And it's not just love again, like we got to be so careful when we use that word love, because today we use it so much within the rainbows and unicorns kind of side of the ledger. And oftentimes love is really rugged, fierce, damaged even, hard won, challenged, scarred up, nicked, all those things. And that's what real love is. It is those nicked things. And that idea that truth is the form of love. Now that's so incredibly important, because if we come from a warped love, and I would dare say, I don't want to make a spiritual judgment here, but I don't think I'm too far off. When we come from a warped love, someone who's out to aggrandize themselves or their reputation, and I think about the reason why Alex Jones is getting sued, that warpedness will create strange truth, like strange. And sometimes I wonder, do people really believe that? Well, if their loves are sort of cattywampus, yeah, they probably at some weird level do. And I think for myself as a history teacher, you look at the Nazi regime. The Nazi regime was probably the most rational regime ever. I mean, they were rational about everything. And yet, because the love came from this really corrupt view of that the German Volk, the German blood, was the primary arbiter of all things, was the primary love, it went off into all kinds of crazy different directions. So if we want to pay attention to truth, we've got to pay attention to love. And what's the love that's underneath it? One of Scarlett's most famous thing, the idea that our job is to choose love, and that isn't always easy. It's not just, again, the rainbows and unicorns side of the ledger. It's choosing love. I think and I believe that when we choose love, what we do is we choose honesty, and we choose truth, and we choose truth, and we choose honesty. We choose love. We have to see those two coming together. I don't think there's any question about that. And we so desperately need that in our society today. We so desperately need people who are willing to tell the truth, but they're willing to say it out of love, not out of wounding, not out of hurting other people, Not out of any of that, not out of anything that's self-aggrandizing, and certainly not, and I'm going to reinforce this point because I think it's so important. It's certainly not as a way to say, well, just I have the truth here, and we're going to draw a line between the pure people and the impure people. We're drawing, that's not it. It's about really, really understanding and really entering into truth because we've entered into love and enter into love. When we enter into love, we will enter into what's true. Now, there's an important implication of that too that I think is worthwhile for us to know is if truth is wounding and not kind and cruel and vengeful, it's not true. Just think about that for a minute. It's if it's all those things, it's not true. um, People can sort of can grab a hold, and Swedenborg warns about this. You can grab a hold of just a sort of cherry pick in the Bible, come up with this idea of a very cruel, arbitrary, mean God, employ that into the world, and then circle back and go like, well, this is why I was that way. See all these passages here where God says this and the other thing. Well, those are just appearances, folks. It's not really the way God is. And you can see where like that kind of truth is not true. It can't be true. It cannot be true because it is not loving. And if it is not loving, it is not true. And I just get a little fired up about that because I see it all the time, and we cannot do that. We have to remember that love and truth are directly connected. So, how do love and truth connect? Well, I'd ask you, take a look at the article by Scarlett Lewis. We're using that screenshot of the New York Times article. Just Google it, take a listen to it, read it, and you'll see how it really connects with two contrasting opposites. The way she holds it and the way somebody like Alex Jones has it, and just think, which world would you rather be in? And I think the answer's pretty obvious. So I hope that makes sense, folks. I hope I don't get too strident about that stuff. It's just these things are really important, especially in this time where truth can get relativized very quickly. And how do we come back to a grounded truth? Well, we come back to a grounded truth when we come back to love. Like, how are we going to be loving? How are we loving beings? How do we reflect God's love? How do we reflect God's love is the same question of how do we reflect God's truth, and vice versa. So that's my thought for today, dear friends. I hope that makes sense. And yeah, may you have a day where the truth makes you free. May you have a day where the truth helps you to be more loving. So, friends, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a little breath. We're going to ring a bell. We're going to do a little meditation. We're going to do a little prayer. We're going to do a little back and forth here. And then I know we do have new people who join us online every day. And just so you can leave comments on social media, and we'll get to them at some point in time. And if you leave comments, like the live comments that I take a look at are the live comments that are on New Church Live's Facebook page. So if you wanted me to make a live response to you right now, you can hop onto that page and I'll do it. And most people do respond later on throughout the day and throughout the weeks ahead, and that's fine as well. We always love to hear from our parishioners all across the country. So with that, friends, let's get a little breath. And let's do a little meditation. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's take a quick look here and see what comments we got. A lot of comments today. So let's take a quick look. Sue, good morning, Sue. I'm so glad you're able to join us live. It's always fun having. We love our archived audience. It's also fun. Um, Great having people here with us live as well. Linda, good morning to you, and Paige, good morning to you. And I think Paige, you got to meet her, which is really fun. Yeah, Scarlett's an amazing person. Terry, good morning, and I hope you're doing well, my friend. Marcus, good morning to you. I hope life is going well. Linda writes, before it passes your lips, is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? That was our classroom rule. And that's so good. What Linda's referencing there is what's called the three gates. Is it kind? Is it true? Is it necessary? And that's just such a good check, and that idea of the truth shall make you free. And one of the most cynical parts of the Bible is where Jesus is getting tried. Pilate goes like, well, what is truth? In other words, truth ain't nothing. And yet there is a real such thing as what is true. Jean writes, good morning. And good morning to Jean, to you out there. Deborah writes, such a powerful reminder in this time of divisiveness in our country, a healing way, love and truth intertwined. That's Deborah, that's beautifully said. Love and truth intertwined. And she'll talk about that in her article, because Scarlett talks about, like, this is exactly why we're struggling as a culture, because, and I think that's true, right or left, doesn't really matter, where we're really unable to come from a loving place of truth. And the word weaponized is a really good word, because we've weaponized a lot of things. And our job as Christians is, as best we can, to keep on returning the word and the world to love. That being the primary thing, that being the first principle, and in all things that we do, incredibly important. So friends, as always, feel free to leave comments throughout the week, and I'm wishing you folks all the very best, and have a wonderful day. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.